Oye Boshishade is I, Ifa Kolade, Umilade, Vato, scene of Sacred Waters Healing Temple, home of divine mysticism, ancestral veneration, and ancient medicine from modern times. This is a sacred space rooted in wisdom, healing, and the living traditions of our ancestors. We guide individuals in reconnecting with their lineage, destiny, and their spiritual practice through the teachings of Ifa Isheshe, along with practical tools for wealth, wellness, and legacy building. I, Ivakolade, have been a practitioner of divine mysteries for over 18 years. My work is centered in helping individuals to align with their legacy through wealth, wisdom, and wellness in this lifetime. Sacred Waters Healing Temple is the home of ancestral medicine. One of our core services is ancestral discovery and genealogy consultations to assist individuals with tracing their lineage, uncovering their heritage, and reconnecting with their ancestral names and stories. In Ifa Sheshe, knowing your ancestors is the foundation of spiritual connection. They are the first spirits that you call by name. We offer consultations and budget-friendly packages to assist you on your ancestral journey. I also offer wealth and wellness consulting, whether it's real estate, credit and finance, tax preparation, life insurance, mutual fund investing, wills and trust formation, identity and legacy formation. My goal is to help you align your spirituality and financial responsibilities with your destiny, your path on this journey. I am a practitioner of Iwe, the sacred science of herbs, oils, tinctures, candles, and ritual medicines. Many of us in the diaspora forget that the herbs in our own backyard carry spiritual and healing power. If you're looking to connect with the ancestral herbal wisdom, I offer guidance and homemade remedies. As an Ipete, the wife of a Rumila within the Ifa tradition, I also teach sacred roles of women within Ifa and Isheshe. Ifa Isheshe. I assist those who are interested in discovering their destiny, strengthening their spiritual gifts, understand their sacred roles, heal from societal misconceptions, and more. We offer nightly classes for women who want to grow spiritually within the tradition. You're part of an evening and you want to discover how you can build your own spiritual ile, your own home, whether it's you as an individual or you have your own family, husband, wife, children, or you want to work within a community, whatever they may be. I am offering consultations to help you to establish, build, protect, and preserve your spiritual legacy. If you are not a part of an Ile, but you feel called to walk this path, you are welcome to schedule a consultation with me as well. All of the services that I'm offering here are embodied within healing practices of Ifa Isheshe. So whether it's spiritual guidance, divination, ancestral wisdom, and ritual work, the Pet training, getting women's instructions, spiritual development and masteries, our philosophy with Sacred Waters Healing Temples that, you be the water. You be the water. And I'll be the bridge. And I will promise you that I won't let you drown. Along with building your legacy, understanding the pragmatic and philosophical approach, along with understanding your calling, your destiny here on this earth, and helping you to protect and preserve what that may be, I am offering or partnering alongside of OLOYE Ifa KARADE, a chief elder and professor of Yoruba religious practices of sage wisdom of over 50 years. Over 50 years of information about what Ifa Isheshe is and so much more. So much more within his mystical mind. He is offering a 4-part lecture series for those, whether you're just beginning, you've been in the tradition for a long time and you just want to get refreshed, or you've been curious about what this is all about. He has a Ifa Isheshe 4-part lecture series that he's offering for beginners, non-initiates, or individuals simply seeking a grounded, mystical, pragmatic approach of what Ifa Isheshe is all about. This is definitely what you want if you're an individual that's seeking practical, spiritual development, whether it be for yourself, for your children, or for Elay that you are also trying to establish in your future. This is the part that you need. This is the part that you want to incorporate to assist in growing. So if you're looking to connect, if you're interested in connecting, the links will be provided in the description. We welcome you to be a part of this KARADE Nation, this Sacred Waters Healing Temple of ours, and just understand what this spiritual movement is all about. If you're ready to reconnect with your Ashe, your own Ashe, your own spiritual path, I invite you to join us. Schedule a consultation, attend a class, simply stay connected with the temple, and we will not let you drown, I promise. Great. So we made it through that, right?
Is, is,
Get
is
through
is that the one you said you were going to do again?
it. Hmm? Is
Is
that the
that
one I said?
Yeah, I remember you saying something that you were going to do again, and we were talking about recordings.
I can't recall. We have had so many
Okay.
conversations.
I'm starting to wonder who's the oldest around here. Okay.
It's not about age. It's not about.
No, no. What's it about then?
It's about
Yeah.
business. We're standing on
Oh,
business.
all right. So yeah, but I think it's beautiful that you do it. The music is
Mhm.
necessary, you know, because people love music, and it's just something nice. Which reminds me, I did listen to your Ease of Love or something to that effect.
Yes. You
Yeah,
listen to that song? I love that song.
yeah. Nicely done.
Thank you. I'm putting in my audio engineering
Hmm.
music production works inside of that.
Hmm.
I did go to Full Sail, so I spent some time there. So,
Hmm.
with that being in mind, I have a strong passion. Ibashe to my grandfather, curly wear.
Hmm.
Okay, strong passion for music. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I have definitely.
yeah. You and me both.
Yeah, because I've been trying to get you to record those bata drumming, the djembe drumming that you refuse to.
Yeah. Well, because I've already done it. What is it just sitting there? Are you
You
see?
only sent me one video
No, I sent you like no, because you said you couldn't.
because of storage, maybe.
Exactly.
Well, okay, we have new devices now.
Okay. Well, then I'll send you the other ones.
Hmm.
'Cause I
Hmm.
got like seven, eight, seven of them.
Okay, well, TikTok is waiting.
Okay. And
YouTube
what I did was, as you saw, I put little passages from my poems on top.
on top of the post that I made.
On top of the posters. So it's drumming, but people can read just a couple of lines of poetry to kind
Okay.
of, you know, at a later date, we'll put the poems to the music with the drums leading.
It's all in motion.
Yeah.
All in
Yeah.
the plan. Well,
Well,
I love how we've gotten started. I love how we're on here with our whites on, Bora Boye for those who are greeting and meeting with us today.
mhm.
Just quick introduction again for those who are new. Welcome back to those who have been here. It is I, Ifa Kolade Umilade Fatosin, Ia, and the priestess of Sacred Waters Healing Temple, your storyteller, your artist, your host. And this is the home of divine mysticism, ancestral medicine, assisting us into the cosmic rebirth for the ascension of our true selves. And with us today, we have Oloye Ifa KARADE. He is
Mhm.
our esteemed elder, our scholar, our author of the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, and his work has shaped generations of practitioners, researchers, scholars, seekers,
Mhm.
many creators who desire authentic and grounded understanding to Ifa, Isheshe, and the Yoruba spiritual worldview. So today we're going to be gathering to discuss one of his latest books, OGBON INU, the companion to the book Ifa Isheshe Pragmatism. I'm still holding on to that. It's got me in a chokehold, okay?
Right.
And and I just want to give thanks to my Aloye, and also my Alubo, Baba Omitosin as well, and our ancestor Baba Kolioso as well,
Yeah.
and to those who have paved the way for us to be here, to meet here, and bridge the gap through Sacred Waters Healing Temple. I'm very thankful for that, and how are you how are you? How are you? Today is the 22nd of
Mhm.
February, and we are in the middle of Tawede. Well, others in the world, in the collective,
Yeah.
may
Yeah.
be in the midst of their Lent phase, or their Ramadan, or
Yes. Yes.
the
Yes.
Passover, or whatever. But
Mhm.
we are here, and we're in the middle of Tawede. So how are
Yeah.
you doing? As,
I'm doing exceptionally well. All right. Uh,
Mhm,
all systems are go. Uh, but why da da? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. You know, this old body is turning into a mountain. Okay, and
mhm,
it appears as though it's going to be around for a while.
mhm,
Because it has been, you know, forming over the years. I have one person who reached out several days ago, and it's like, oh, Baba Oloye, Baba Oloye, right? So you've been teaching for eons. How long you been in this? It's like it's never ending, and you're still going strong. You know, and that's how I find myself in different places, but everywhere I go, there I am. You understand? So I'm more than grateful, for the strength of mind, body, and spirit, and the strength of heart, you know, working through the emotional labyrinths of life,
mhm, mhm,
but it all ends and begins with being steadfast with Ifa, Isheshe, and with my people. You understand? So I'm doing well, and I thank you for asking.
Ashe. Of course, of course.
No, I told you it's going to be a little like fire today, right? I mean, I'm holding back. I'm channeling it. Okay.
Speaking of,
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, when we spoke, when you mentioned like Ramadan and Lent, you know,
mhm,
and I just want to speak very, very briefly on it as a preface to today's oral Ijinle, or some people might call sermon.
okay.
This whole question of fasting keeps coming up. People from the right, people from the left, people pushing down, people pushing up. Oh
Mhm,
well, and Ifani Sheshe, there's no fasting, and you know, and
mhm,
and they list like 900 reasons why not. And then there's people on the other side of the gate, you know,
Mhm.
who are like, uh, it is a part of Ifani Sheshe.
Why
And,
wouldn't it be fasting if we're doing animal sacrifices?
oh, well,
Somebody
okay.
got okay.
Well, but see, these are the type of questions that become debatable yet non-debatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had an immediate response, in regards to sacrifices. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are people on both sides of the gate, even in respect to that. Well, in the Odu it says,
Mm-hmm.
and my response, from my eschew grounding is everybody's right. Okay, I got red on one side, I got black on the other. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you see what
True.
you see based on where you're coming from. All this
Mm-hmm.
going back and forth is not doing anyone any good.
Yeah, no.
Because you can find in the Odu, like you can find in any other sacred script, anything at best and something at worst, you know, to substantiate or validate what you feel as though is right for you and your group. You see? Because we can go to the Bible, especially if we're talking about Lent, and we can talk about not eating foods that crawl on the bottom of the sea. That's what's what. But you find them same people right up there eating shrimp and lobster and all that kind of stuff. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so not everybody is so tied down, to what a quote unquote sacred book has to say, because A, we're not living in those times. B, that book been changed like 199 times, depending on who's in control. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So you take from it what you will, and if you have any doubt, as I shared, during one of our conversations, take out your OB, take out your Opole, go get a divination, and most importantly, listen to your body. Listen, if you feel as though a cleansing is necessary and you need to fast intermittently or fast from certain type of foods or abstain from anything, that you feel as though is distracting you from your inward combustion. I love that term. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do in Taway Day. You know, we take it real deep and we take it real personal in terms of having authority over our own lives. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there, coming from myself and, you know, this little small corner of the universe that I'm in, deep solitude, but there's revelations that come through, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you can't trust people to do better for themselves if you don't trust them to do better for themselves. You have to entrust. Just provide the information and some breathing room. You want to do Ramadan? Do Ramadan. You want to do Lent? Do Lent. But if our Isheshe folks, we don't have to sit on the sidelines. We can involve ourselves and give our spirits, a voice in the essence of humanity's trials and endeavors to better life and perhaps better the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, while everybody's talking about fasting, we don't seem to be talking about anything else but that. Oh, we want to fast, we want to fast. Well, what else are people in Ramadan doing? They're just not sitting around starving themselves to death, or people in Lent. You know, there's a strategy. You got sun up to sundown. You got this and you got that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes people get a little hyperbolic when they're trying to, defend their position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one bubble out say, well, fasting, it has been proven scientifically to be good But the Odu says, they're doing something. Well, the Odu was 6,000 years ago. you know, and
Mm-hmm.
people weren't going to work like we go to work. People weren't, you know, as stressed in terms of what we suffer. You know, people didn't have like processed food and chemicals in their food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, fast foods and all that kind of stuff. They had other things to deal with, but it wasn't like what we're dealing with now. So the body needs to cleanse itself.
Also, I want to add war was happening during that time and the need to prepare for certain wars.
Exactly.
And so,
Spiritual wars and physical wars. Yes.
yeah, and it's like the middle. We in the beginning of Ramadan. Ramadan started on the 18th. It's the 22nd. We're if we're hung up on talking about what should be done, we're like missing the point of what
Exactly.
that fasting entails, anyways.
Right. Right. No need to argue. That's why I said from the grounding of issue, it's like everybody's right. Go on and do you, you know, but take special note on what you intend on doing during that time and what the results are going to be. What are you going to now deliver unto the world now that you've gone through this? What trajectory have you changed in your life? And what have you and how have you helped others to change the trajectory and better their lives?
Mm-hmm.
The answer to both of those questions, or three of them, is nothing. you
Mm-hmm.
know, I just had a lot of arguments on who should and who shouldn't do what.
Mm-hmm.
It's going back to your statement. It's like, well, clearly you missed the point.
You're late.
no, that shop closed.
Mhm. One
Yeah.
minute too late. 1 minute too late because it's already started.
Hmm.
Right now. So we're getting into OGBON INU today, and I don't know what does the OLOYE have for us from OGBON INU. And for those of you who haven't gotten the book is made available to you on Amazon.
All right. Well,
Hmm.
today we wanted to focus on insights to the Orisha.
Hmm.
And for the past 40, 50 years, you know, it's it's been an uphill climb on a very slippery slope, attempting to bring Orisha out of the basement, what we used to call it, because back in the day, 99.9% of the Bimbays and all that kind of thing was kind of in the basement, literally. Um, and of course, everything was shrouded in, mystery and secrecy and all of that. And I'm like, okay, well, if we keep doing it like this, which understandably was a necessity during the enslavement of our people, you know, understandably, and even understandably post enslavement, when there were all of these laws and restrictions against Orisha practitioners and gatherings, well, basically of any sort, But don't let it be about something that wasn't uh, Christian specifically, you know, be it Protestant or Catholic or any other branch of of Catholicism, Christianity, Protestants and Methodists and all else. And then the continual downplay kind of kept pushing us more and more underground. But like any other type of revolution, there were leaders who were bringing Ifa Orisha up from the basement and from behind the veil. Because, see, when you keep something low, it tends to have an effect on your psyche. And when you feel as though something is veiled, it becomes supernatural. It becomes beyond um, one's thought processes and into the magical lore. And again, it's all understandable. I'm not here to say anything negative about anything or anybody. However, I do feel as though it's very important to have a background, to have an understanding to some degree, even if it's just a little bit, relatively speaking, and that increases one's ability to embrace the fullness of their spirituality and the fullness of their quote unquote religiosity, and hence the books, and hence my uphill climb on this slippery slope, to reach certain levels beyond um, the given. You understand? Beyond the given. It was like, oh, the ORISHA are like this, you got go get a reading from the Bible out, and they're gonna tell you something about you that nobody knows, or give you directions and all that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, but yeah, all that works, depending on who's working it. But it's not all that there is. There comes a point when a certain dawning occurs, and it's like, I got this kind of thing. I don't need that type of medicine anymore. Or I can start making my own medicine. I have more control over my life and my life energies now. I thank you for the experiences. I make no apologies for anything that happened on the way. I was lost. You know what I mean? I'm in the labyrinth of my mind and my emotions. I give thanks to everyone who assisted in providing that golden thread so that I can find my way home. I can find my way back into myself. But I I got it now. You know, I got it. Training wheels are off. You know, I'm a little bit more able to balance my life. Okay, and at a certain point, I'm going to be able to take flight. So yeah, this is kind of you know the undercurrent within the sacred waters of the books and of the teachings of Ifa Isheshe, a pragmatic approach, a pragmatic approach. When it starts to work within us, OGBON INU, that inner wisdom, that inner knowing, but beyond the intellect knowing, you know, the gut reactions that tell you that something's wrong, intuition, the ancestors begin to speak through our blood, through our bones. Okay, and most importantly, we start to listen. We just don't call out to them. We listen to hear what they say. Like inside of us, Inu inside. All right. So that's kind of the intro to insights to Orisha. Okay. Any comments, Apetebe? Can't hear you.
Oh, I said no, no comments.
All right. So this is a good way to start in. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to continue. Okay.
Okay, no
Now,
problem.
I need to um, ask several questions
Mm-hmm.
as we begin this journey of insight to the Orisha. And of course, I'm open to comments. I'm putting it out there for people to respond because, see, in pragmatism, questions lead to answers. Okay? Answers lead to directives. Directives lead to conclusions drawn, and then action. Okay, the disciplines, the change in trajectory. You know, are we changing our life as a result of our questions being answered, or are we just asking questions? You understand? Or are we just making offerings, but there's no change, there's no questioning, and even on the flip side, are we encircled by people who encourage us to ask questions? You know, who encourage us to dialogue as opposed to being caged by people who just want you to follow what they say and not ask questions. You don't question God. You don't question you don't question the Bible. You don't question it, and on top of that, don't read this and don't read that and don't go there and don't go. You understand what I'm saying? At what point and at what age does an individual say that this is not healthy soil? This is not working for my growth. Now it may work for others. They've been so conditioned or so of that, kind of somebody please lead me all the way. Nature, that's them. Okay. This is not a versus, a VS. It's a plus sign, an and sign, amperin or whatever they call it. You understand? So we can all coexist. I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to say. But
Mm-hmm.
there should be a place where pragmatism, okay, being pragmatic, is open to individuals of that nature, of that type, if you will, in Ifa and Isheshe. Do you have to be initiated? No. You can be a devotee. It's just like you can be a Christian without being baptized, or you can be a Muslim without going through Shahada, you know? Or making Hajj, or Christians going on a pilgrimage to Bethlehem or whatever sacred city they feel as though is sacred. It's like, come on, people. You think every one of our ancestors, ranging into the tens of millions, you know what I mean? But the only way they could have an Orisha concept and an Ifa concept was if they were quote unquote initiated. There was a time when you would only wear these ilekes if you were of the priestly. Wearing them now is a carryover, a survival mechanism, because of the horrors and the constraints of enslavement. Understand? But to think that we all just drop down from the sky, doing the same thing, looking the same way, believing everything to the same degree, that's not only not pragmatic, it's irrational. You know, it's belief taken to the point of, I kind of hate to say it, but absurdity. You can say, oh, well, this country is a Christian country, but you go door to door. You think everybody going to look and sound like, like the same? So what makes you think it was different even back in the earliest of times? Okay. So again, we really can't get into the insights of Orisha if we don't get into the insights of how we perceive. Right. So what is the difference between knowing and believing? What's the difference between having knowledge of something and having belief in something? Okay? We can know about the Orisha, but does that mean we really and actually believe in it? We can role play, we can reenact, and we see tons of that going on. But does that mean we really believe in them? And if we do believe in the Orisha, what is it that we believe? Do we believe that they are a saving grace? Huh? Do we believe that there are characteristics and attributes about them that we attempt to braid into our psyche and into our mind, and thereby change ourselves, free ourselves from oppressive thoughts, self-destructive behaviors? What is it that we're believing in? Okay, beyond having knowledge of language and dance and song and a very kind of top layer approach to divinations, corrupted to readings, and everything requires some sort of sacrifice, which of course costs some amount of money. People are like, well, that's the only way I can be saved. No, it's not the only way you can be saved. If that was the case, everybody would be doing it and everybody would be saved. Okay. Two, can we believe in something and yet have no knowledge of it? Can we say, well, I believe in Orisha? Orisha has changed my life. And I can say that for sure. Okay. Obatala changed everything about me. Okay. And I'm still changing as a result of the Imule, the covenant that I made with Obatala. You understand? So I had no real knowledge. Okay. But I had belief. So can you, dear listeners, my people, can you believe in something, okay, and yet have no knowledge of it? Or are we somehow moved by thoughts and emotions that supersede or overpower us? Can we know of something yet not believe in it? Okay, not believe it. Can we know it but not believe it? Okay. Is knowledge superficial? Is it more so determined by what we're told, taught, manipulated to accept as knowledge? A history book, for example. Okay. Uh, uh, your ancestors, you're a descendant of slaves. Your ancestors were slaves. Who are you talking to? Somebody else over there? Because as far as I know, about every person here, right now, on their timeline, historically speaking, has been enslaved by a conquering nation, to include, Western Europeans, conquered by the Romans, enslaved by the Romans, become gladiators, thrown into the pit, and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't a matter of whether you was black or not. It wasn't a matter if you were African or not. Okay, and then there were the Muslims, the Corsairs, who during all the way up until 1833, okay, A.D. 1833, were raiding Europe and taking Europeans as slaves. But see, that's not in the history book. It's not in the history book that the Vikings were, raiding the coast, and then Ireland becomes the slave capital of the world, Dublin, Ireland. It's not in the history books. So we can not know of something, but yet believe. Oh, but that never happened to them. We were the only people who were enslaved during that time. Well, no, that's not true. You don't know. So therefore, you don't believe in the full 360 degrees of what actually transpired. Now, you may ask, well, what does that have to do with Orisha? It has everything to do with Orisha. It has everything to do with being involved with Orisha to any and every degree, as an Olusin, a devotee, Okay. Two, an aberisha, holders of the lekes. Once you get your lekes, you're now an aberisha. Okay. And on through your Ishe, your warriors, Yajagun, and your Ishe Fa, and then on into being a Babalarisha, Elorisha, and then those who become Ealaos or Babalaos. But if you're doing that and not questioning your knowledge and how you perceive what's being shown to you, what's being presented to you, even if it's your own research, are you triple checking? Are you cross referencing? Or is Google really teaching you how to be one sided? Or you got one book, or even if you have one teacher, you know, one Olua. It's like, no, be free enough to cross reference and kind of work it out for yourself. Now, there were problems with this back in the day because everybody had kind of a, ownership kind of feeling with people of their elays or their houses, to be more specific. You know, we didn't start calling them elays until later, all right, because he's coming out of the syncretism. But one of the major points was that nothing was really being taught. There was no system, there was no structure. It was all about, you know, being read by someone who was mounted. It was all about, going to Odu, get your Odu from the Babalao. It was all about who's your Orisha, how many stones in your pot, who initiated you. You know what I mean? Check, 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 check. And all I'm saying is that was good for then. If I'm still rolling at 73, the way I was rolling at 43, then a reassessment is necessary. And Muhammad Ali was like, if you still doing that 40, what you were doing at 20, then okay, you might want to sit down. Even Eddie Murphy on his documentary was like, there was a certain point where I just had to stop doing what I was doing. Not simply because I was becoming older, but I was starting to have revelations. Okay. So when we talk about having a structure, okay, which is a reflection of a rumula, okay, we start looking at, okay, what is it that an elay or I'll leave it at elay, okay, because I don't want to, dance too long with the syncretisms, okay. Like I said, red on one side, black on the other. It's all good. We can coexist. But knowledge of the lekes and the orishas that they symbolically represent. Okay. Now, and then that comes to, okay, so who is Eshu? Oh, Eshu's the little boy. Eshu's this and Eshu's that. Yeah, okay, that's what they told you. But who who is Eshu? And where does the Eshu principle fit into the development of your life? Because if you continue just, oh, I got to make offerings to Eshu, I got to make offerings to Eshu, well, then that's all you're doing. But see, Eshu is there as one who strikes. Eshu, E and then SHU, Eshu, okay, or S with the dot under it. One who strikes, one who saves, okay, one who is of the darkness. Now, there are ways to interpret even the word darkness, just like there's ways to interpret saves and strikes. Okay. If we're still looking at, and as I filter through some of the larger books like written back in the 40s and all, where this whole Eshu is Satan and all of that, was I filtered through that, there is some valid information. It's like panning for gold. You know what I mean? So here we have the SU principle being laid out by elders, who are speaking it to these academicians who are Yoruba men and women who are going out, quote unquote, into the field, academically speaking. All right. And although they are attempting to be objective, they cannot help but to be colonial minded because that's where they went to school. That's what they are getting their degrees in. But at the same time, they're bringing back some pearls. Okay, and it's like SU. Well, let's look at saves. SU saves. SU, the one who saves. Saves who from what? Okay, here we go with the questions again because we're pragmatic. All right, saves the individual. SU saves the individual from animalistic qualities, behaviors, tendencies. SU strikes in order to wake us up and in order to defend us. Okay? He strikes those animalistic forces, what now kind of what they might call demons. Okay? So SU strikes, SU saves, and SU brings the darkness. But what happens in darkness? Okay? There's an empowerment in darkness. There's a resurgence of self through the darkness. This concept where dark is evil and dark is bad, that's not true. The night was held as mystical. Okay? And it was the night that brought the day. And ancient Nubian lore. And that's why I titled the novel, A Place of Nights. Okay. So here we have a shoe, and now look, I'm going insightful now. Now we're not taking a shoe from the syncretisms. We're taking a shoe from the ancient African perspective, right down to the name Eshu, Elegbara, Legba, Elegba. It's about the principle. It's not about the personification nor the anthropomorphism. That's what we do in our minds to make everything look like us and even think like us. But once you're pragmatic, you see beyond. Okay. And then we have the Eshu principle, like the yin and the yang. Okay. We have the staff of balance on one end, and we have the fire. Okay. That staff of balance can be something to strike with, to fight with. And that fire, that's the heat of purification. That fire is the light. You see? So it's not just, oh well, SU, is the trickster and all that. Come on, that's so primary. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way, but let's really look at it. Let's really look at it. Okay. And then we have artist conceptions that reflect more the principle, if we perceive it, if we are able to work it out in our own minds. So here we have SU as the one who covers our animalistic tendencies. Wow. It's SU who fights for us. And sometimes when somebody's even training you, you go and get hurt. You know what I mean? You know? And sometimes it's intentional. To wake you up, or let you know how it feels, and to train you to be a saving grace unto others to help them combat their animalistic tendencies. You understand where this is going? This is what Orisha is about from the African centered state of mind. And I would question, you know, as I'm time traveling on waves of ancient consciousness, could this have something to do with animal sacrifices? That is not just about, oh, well, the blood has energy, you know what I mean, and that. No, 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 no. Everything has energy. You don't need blood for energy. Everything has energy. When you get to a certain mental state, you can see it, you can feel it. So if it's all about the blood, then again, from my little solitudinal point in the wherevers, it's like it can't be just that. That might be a road to a deeper understanding, but if we're not combating, conquering our animal tendencies, then what is the use of all of the blood sacrifice? What's the use of all the blood? Where's all that energy going? Oh, well, the Orisha need blood. The Orisha need no, the Orisha need, you know, the Orisha need individuals to step up and free themselves, liberate themselves from animalistic tendencies, and to come through the darkness and into the light. Okay? I mean, ultimately, what other reason would they as deities be there? You Hmm. So let's take a little breather, and let's see if anyone has anything to say about uh, Eshu. Okay, all right. Up at DB, I see somebody on the screen. Who's that? Rain. All right. Can't.
So she says the difference between knowing and believing is facts and faith that something you don't know is true.
Okay. All
Mm.
right. And a nice
And,
response.
and
Up.
welcome, Rain. I'm glad you're here. Also, we have Niasia
Okay.
join us, and she says belief takes things a step further. There is a responsibility that we take on in regards to the orishas that molds our ori,
Hmm.
our insights, and our personal relationships and our interactions within them. She
All right.
said our
Let's.
emotions, our personal growth, etc., our ability to navigate in our daily lives.
Ah, very
And
pragmatic, right?
And Rain also said, I believe you cannot know, but believe that something is true.
Yes, you can.
I believe you cannot know,
Mm-hmm.
believe that something is true.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. All right. Every answer from my issue post in the ground is correct. Okay. How you braid it into your life and how you adorn your braids, okay, with cowrie shells or, you know, seashells or whatever. That's you. But take you into you with the full knowledge of why you're doing it, to
Mm-hmm.
improve yourself, to conquer animalistic tendencies. And that's tough because, see, you got to face that stuff. You got to face it. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm really, or I was really, like this and like
Makes me
that.
look at this image here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I knew you'd love that one.
Mhm.
And so we move forward. And this is why we can look at this beautiful picture here that I captured and floating around in the cosmos. Uh, One of the Iawas was sharing a dream that she had with me. So she called out, Baba, I had this dream. This was just yesterday night. Okay. And so she was talking about how the dream was so vivid, and that these birds had come down. And I said, well, try to get a picture of it. Try to get a picture of it, while it's still fresh in your mind. So, of course, she went to the chat piece, and it came up with something, right? And I was like, that's beautiful. But in my mind, it's like, I have something that would further illustrate the emotion that she was sharing. Because, of course, I was like, that's a blessing from Oshun. And see, you don't have to be a priestess of any Orisha, much less Oshun. Well, no, I might say specifically, with Oshun, because she has the dream state. You understand? So this Iyawa, she's like, it was so beautiful. She couldn't stop talking about it, because she's at a moment of greater liberation of mind and spirit. So I went back in my files, and I found this picture, and I cropped it, and I sent it to her, and she was overwhelmed with joy. She was like, Baba, that's it. That's it. That's what I saw. And that's Oshun all up in there. And I said, yes, look at the beauty of it. The water, it's not just her and the birds, it's everything. Everything that's there. And you see, when we look at the insights into the Orisha, and all we see is, well, Oshun is like this, Oshun is like that, and she's sensuality and sexuality, and she's presented, more as a quote unquote sex symbol, and promiscuous, and every and anything that goes with that. And then we find that that is not true. That is not the case. That is a misinterpretation and a misconceptualization of one of our most profound and deeply constructive of the humanities. The art of living is Oshun as the only Orisha who can go and sit at the feet of Olodumare to plead for the upliftment and the salvation of humanity. It is Oshun who brought forth all of the male forces to say, nothing moves without me. Respect me. Okay? So this is the Oshun principle in all of her beauty and all of her grace. Oshun. Okay? The one who brings about the beauty and the grace and the deepness of humankind. You see? So here we have, the different pictures, and these pictures are out there. You know what I mean? But go to 99 elays slash houses, and these types of projections are basically unseen. And not only are they unseen, they're unheard. Because, see, we're not speaking, communicating with one another, engaging with one another on the insights that can be gained from our focus on Ifa Isheshe. Okay, beautiful picture. Very nicely done up here today. Right on point. Okay. So here we have this Oshun principle. Again, you notice I say principle. Okay. what do they entail? What are their attributes? Not what are their pataki interpretations, but what is the Odu saying, but also what are our ancestors saying? Because you can have five Babalaos in the room again, and each of them will have a different point of view, and that doesn't mean that they're conflicting.
Mhm.
Okay, it just means that there's going to be different points of view. Our job as priests and priestesses, and particularly our woes, is to help people braid together, you know, and form locks. You know what I'm saying? That reach all the way into the ground, into Mother Earth, into Onile, and say that it's all good. We're going to be okay because we understand that it's not either or, and it's not the conflict that brings about the betterment of ourselves. We're challenged enough. Okay, no need adding to it. As a matter of fact, we can navigate around it.
Mhm.
Let's look at the term Orisha, and I keep sharing with people because see, went through years. Everybody say Orisha, Orisha, Orisha. Nobody know. Oh well, they're the gods, the avatars, the angels, and we have all of these kind of synonymous words. Okay, none of them greatly nice. None of them greatly encapsulating Orisha as time and epiphanies brought about. But now start looking at it. I said Orisha. So Ori is not just the head as I teach. Ori is the consciousness of one's body, mind, spirit, and soul. It's a consciousness of the consciousness. Okay. It's just that deep when you turn inward. It's like, when even when you're playing an instrument or working out, you start to feel that there's an inner body, and then there's an inner body to that inner body. Okay. That's just not some yoga stuff, or some, you know, uh over there stuff. That's actual. And our ancestors were fully aware of it.
Mhm.
That's why you had the three stages of the order. You have your outer self, you have your inner self, not just your inner mind, but your inner mind self. And then you have your innermost mind self. Ori Ode, Ori Inu, okay, Ori Palmri. You understand? So all of this is in effect. It is. But 99.9% of, temples, ilays, houses these days, they 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 seemingly reek more of the syncretism than the actual African. You go to the temple to learn. You engage. You involve. It's not show time. It's grow time. It's glow time. Okay. So this becomes important. This becomes the gathering. They're just not standing around, they're exchanging ideas. They're telling stories of their lives to one another. They're enhancing each other. They're just not, oh well, we're co-wives, or we're the women of the temple, or we're all our pay to bees. No, we're gears to a well-oiled machine, and we make it happen. You know, and sometimes we get a little testy. We're all emanations of creation. You know, but for the most part, and I discovered this while my sojourn to Kenya and living amongst polygamous families, and then my experiences. But the whole thing is that once the women get together and the J is elevated and uplifted and is a moving force, there's nothing but success that can come out of it. Okay. And if we see the Aj as an Orisha, elevated from the quote unquote, witch like state. And what I discovered is that uh, the two words are spelled the same, but there's a different intonation, which lends to a different interpretation. So here we have Orisha, the empowerment of one's Ori. Now, this comes from, yeah, keep it there for a minute, all right? This comes from Awanti Orisha. Awanti Orisha, loosely translated. Those who have been successful in achieving and accomplishing to high levels, and as a result of their accomplishments and achievements, they become Orisha. Powerful. Powerful. Why? Because it's basically stating that any of us could become Orisha by definition. Okay? In Owari Meiji, okay, it states the wisest and most powerful among the human beings become Orisha. That's right in the Odu. Okay, in Owari Meiji, Owari Se, which means that Owarin cleanses himself. Owarin spiritualizes himself through bath, and that's why this picture is so on point. A, there's two ways to look at it. Is she going under or is she coming up? Okay. B is that it doesn't matter because she's cleansing her spirit. She's cleansing her soul. Okay. And let's push C, right? Look at her reflection, right? Is she moving towards us? Look at how the water is rippling. This is the greatness that we seek to achieve. It's one thing to be in sacred waters. Okay. It's another thing to move through those waters unto an Orisha like state of mind, state of being, state of existence. And all of that has to be taken into account. You know, they can't do it without us. No Orisha, no Odu, no, not even Olodumare. It's just like there's no magical, mystical tap, without you. And then Ogunda Meiji states it specifically, without the blessings of one's Ori, that no deity can pull through. They can make it happen. You can do all the ebos and everything that you want. Oh, but I got a yes, I got a yes. Well, consider those yeses as steps on the slippery slope to your possibly, reaching higher ground, a higher state of mind, a higher state of being. Possibly. Okay. So let's emerge ourselves in the sacred waters. You know. But let's also have, the ways and means to perceive what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what the results, the expected results are. Because other than that, we just swimming. I mean, an enemy can come and pollute sacred waters. I mean, look at the history of what's going on right now with pollution. You know, with the modernization and with the European conquests and all that kind of thing. And the factories and all that. They didn't care if people was sacred. You know what I mean? You know. So it's up to us to not only be in the sacred waters, but to cleanse ourselves, as Warren would say, or Warren Meiji, okay, states that that's what we must have. We must have in terms of our intent and our desired results. Okay. All right. So let's see if we have any comments or statements on that. Okay. 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 Can't hear you.
I said no comments here. I have Tiffany that joined. She said peace.
All right. Peace,
How about
Tiffany.
that?
All right.
Listening.
Yeah, all right. Okay. We have time for one or two more chapters.
We always have time for
Oh
chapters.
yeah, I'm the one who started, right? All
You
right.
know.
C- Uh, can we go back to the ascension paper, please?
Hmm. Yeah, because we have to do the holders of the warriors. What?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going. If you get there, then put it up. That's
You're
right.
so
I'm gonna go
excited.
back. All right. All right. Go back up to Abarishi, okay? And then I'm gonna make sure to get the Ajagun down. All right. So we have knowledge of the lekkes and all that. So people have their lekkes, okay?
Mhm.
Walking around with the lekkes on. Do we know what the colors indicate? We talked about the red and the black for a shoe, okay? Now, when we talk about the white, Obatala, and people are like, oh, Obatala is the king of the white cloth and all that kind of thing. Now, back in the day, I was rolling with that as well.
Mhm.
But as time went on and studies deepened, Obatala presented himself not as the Oba of the white cloth, the owner of the white cloth, Obatala.
Mhm.
Because the argument was, and I use argument not in a, you know, knockdown kind of way, but just maybe I should say controversial conversation. The conversation was, all right, well, fum fum means white, efum, the white clay. Okay, so I was like, well, if that's the case, then what does Allah mean? You know, and like I had people argue, well, don't say Alafia because it dealt with Allah. No, 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 no. Allah means clarity, clarity, and that clarity comes as a culmination of all colors, but also the explosion of all colors. So it's clarity. The white is basically symbolic of cleanliness and clarity of mind, cleanliness of body, clarity of mind. You understand where I'm going with it? And then when I look at it, it's like, you hate to even want to uh, drink a smoothie when you got your whites on. Because that one drop is going to be like everybody sees it. They're going to forget everything else that's on as white, but they're going to see that drop. You understand? So when we start looking at it pragmatically, and when we start looking at the insights of the principles of Orisha, we start to understand that it is about the psyche. It is about the mind, but the mind doesn't stop in the head. The mind permeates the whole body clearly. Okay. So Obatala is the owner of, the king of, if you will, okay, clarity, right? So we'll go over the other, orishas, because this is like a 3 or 4 part uh, pilgrimage that we have going on. So I'm no way trying to do all of it in a couple of hours. So knowledge of the seven Orisha, knowledge of the creator concept, Olodumare. Definitely gonna get into that next week. So make sure to be here now. Knowledge of Arumula. Why did there so many people, walking around with elekes on, or going to get readings, and making all of this and all of that to the Orisha, and A, not knowing much about the Orisha, and B, not knowing anything about the prophet figure. So what is it that you're doing all this for again? Immediate gratification. You're panicked. You're on survival mode, or somebody got to do something, or I just want to protect my family. I just want to protect my family. Well, then do something, okay, along with, okay, strengthening your spiritual essence. Because see, the Orisha are only portals. They give to us, but the first law of African spirituality is reciprocity. We have to give back to them. Now, people have turned that into offerings, ebos, adimu, plates offering, but sometimes it seems as though they forget that that offering has to come from your heart. That offering has to come from a humble place, inside of you. Okay. Yoruba culture, language, and customs, to include history. African history. The list goes on. People take note. Again, it's in OGBON INU, and it's also in Imoye. I drew this from back in 1999 when I published Imoye. But Althea Henrietta Press out of Brooklyn. All right, now let's get to the Ajago. Okay. Holders of the warriors. Okay. Ajagun means warriors. Okay, good people. Increased knowledge of Eshu, Ogun, Ochosi, and that shouldn't be Oshun, it should be Osun. But that happens when the dot comes in. So we can fix that. All right, so take that H out. The Osun is the staff of a representative of the staff of Ifa Babalaos. Okay. Symbolic implements inside the Ogun cauldron. We have the machete, we have the ambulance, we have the hammer. Okay, we have maybe the railroad spike. We have all these implements, but what do they mean? For example, if you have your warriors, you take out that machete and say, what does this mean to my life? What does this mean pragmatically? Oh, I have to cut through, I have to forge, this sword, if you will, this machete, in order to clear the way. All right. So, but then now you can take the other implements and ask the same questions, and write it down in your notebook. Do some praise writing, okay, to help deepen your understanding. And even if you don't have the implements, you can find a picture of them everywhere, you know, and then kind of do it in your head, or draw them out on a piece of a paper. There's so many ways to approach this without following the indoctrination, you know, of, well, this is the only way you can grow from having the warriors is if you go through this ritual or go through the ceremony. I'm here to say that there's a lot of people who go through rituals and ceremonies, but that doesn't mean that their life has changed, you know, and nor does it mean that they're assisting and helping others. You understand? And not because they don't want to, but maybe it's just because they haven't been opened up to the possibility of doing it, the reality of doing it. All right. Praise songs to the warriors, to the Ajagun. Okay. Listen to the music. You know, it really is just as simple these days. Back in my day, we didn't have social media or YouTube and all that kind of thing. But now you can just songs to Ogun and you get like 50 of them pop up in a minute. Listen to them. And let the vibration resonate. Okay. Ancestral, no, awakening. Okay. Scroll up a little bit, please. Two ORISHA prayers. The Ijubar. I'm on E now. The Ijubar. Can we pour libation? Are we pouring libation? Omi tutu, ile tutu, ona tutu. Cool water. Okay. Initial knowledge and nature of Ebo and Adimu. We speak on that consistently. Ebo is like the actual, you know, harder sacrifices. You know, Ebo Eje. You know, we're gonna sacrifice the animal, or Ebo. We may capture something and hold it in captivity. You know, there's like thousands of different types of Ebos. Okay, Ebo to the Orisha, Ebo to the Ajogun, the negative forces. Then you have Ebo to the quote unquote witches, okay, to appease them. But none of this makes any sense if you're not making changes within yourself. Okay, now Adimu, they're more like your flowers, your fruit bowls, you know, um, things of that nature. You know, the Obi, basic divination, uh, from my temple, and I wrote this specifically at the time for Ile Tawolona. Okay. Now, when 1998 or so was rolling around, and people were like, Baba, nobody else is doing it like this. I said, well, I'm going to publish it, and maybe more people will start doing it like this. So, again, I found out that publishing company, and they were like, this is great, right in New York City, too. So, I got quite a few, you know, no accolades because of it. No print up in the newspaper and everything. Um, you know, the Brooklyn newspaper. They had a little newspaper going around. All right. Odu patterns. People like, oh, well, if you're not Babalawo or you don't have Vishay Fire, you're not supposed to know the Odu. And I'm like, stay over there. Stay in the playground. Over here, grown folks need to learn everything they need while they can and put it into effect, you know, while there's some living and breathing space on this planet, and then being able to pass it on, you know, as we become elders. So this whole thing about, oh, you can't learn the Odu unless you have your Ishe Fa or above, that's that's ridiculous. That's like telling somebody, well, you can't have a Bible unless you at least a deacon or a deaconess, or you can't have a Quran unless you are, you know, whatever it is, close to the Imam, or you can't have this because of that. You can't have this because of that. You can't get a teaching job as a professor if you don't have a master's degree. I'm like, well, I got one. You know, I got a teaching job. I don't have a master's degree. I got a professor's. I don't have a master's degree. You know? But what I do have, you know, is a lot of determination and the ability to figure things out. You know, so going on assumptions and these walls built by basically Catholicism are fruitless. They're fruitless for the movement of our people. So yes, you can learn about the Odu at any given point. You have to be initiated. Just pick up a book. Take a class. We're giving classes all the time now. I pay to be, she's making it happen, right? All right, and lastly, Iwapuele, Iwalewa, and Iwalaye. These are the fundamental pillars of becoming an Eneyangidi, an authentic human being, a human being who has transcended, okay, a human being who has become the authorship of their own lives. Every day we write our lives into our consciousness and into our subconsciousness. And that inner voice in part reads us. And that's called Ifa Aya. Okay? But you see how deep it goes, beyond Hollywood and Nollywood and knock on wood or whatever, it's like it's really time to, put on the grown folks responsibility factor and let's learn together, so that we can be together, right? Iwapuele, balance character, having composure, being cautious, okay, being able to teach, but also being able to be taught. All of these fall under Iwapuele. Iwalewa, striving for oneness with nature, the nature of oneself, and conjoining with that, the nature of existence. Like I wrote, even the song of birds become a prayer. You understand? You go out and you walk, you hear birds sing. They're prayers, or you get caught in the rain. That's a baptism. You know, you hear a child cry. You know, that's the voice of an ancestor. This is Iwalewa, right? And then lastly, Iwalaye, and that is moving forward in life without regression. Can't keep constantly backsliding. There are times when you just have to draw the line behind you and say, I'm not going back. I'm not being that way anymore. I'm just not. I don't care what it takes, but I will not get caught up in, oh man, maybe just one more time, or I've been good so far. Maybe just no. Non-regression means non-regression. It means that if I'm gonna stop eating red meat, then there's not a power in this world, at least up to me not being captured or starving to death at the hands of the enemy or whatever. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to eat it. You understand? I'm not going to regress. I've weaned myself off of things. I've weaned my ill begotten behaviors. I've weaned myself off of them. No, I'm not going back to that. There's too much ahead of me. So you see, once you get your warriors, either through ritual or through understanding, these are the steps that have come through me. And I say this with great humility, in order to present to my people. Okay. Ashe. Any comments up at there being?
Mm, we have Peace in the Lafayette. We have Brother Javar Go McGee.
All right,
Uh,
brother.
I'm not sure where he's from, but I've seen his profile before, his name before. It says he Lafayette.
All
Uh,
right,
seen
Lafayette,
it
Lafayette.
with
Okay.
TikTok. TikTok just sending me a bunch of hearts.
We'll take those hearts.
Well, I'll receive all of them.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so we've covered a lot of territory in the hour. We have about 20 more minutes to go. All right. Oh, I got more now.
You said you had the fire and it
Yeah,
was lit inside of you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
know what they here for. You know what they here for.
Bring out the dime.
I like that you mentioned, for individuals who are open to receive their warriors and how to receive their warriors. I'll tell you how I received my warriors. Actually, I received my warriors after my kofa, years afterward. In fact, when my children, when they went through their ceremony for
Mhm.
warriors, Leke, that's when I received my warriors with them. So,
Yeah.
so
So,
but
I
it's
mean,
beautiful. It's really beautiful the way that you said that. Like,
mhm.
it's important to know about all of those orishas and the history and
Yeah,
what all it entails beyond, just the offerings, just beyond the dancing and praying and them
yeah,
bases. Those are beautiful things, but like you mentioned, when Oshun is ready to say, I they should receive this, or when Oshun is ready to give it to you, when Oshun opens that passage for
yeah.
someone to receive something. When you said that, I'm not going to lie,
Mhm.
something that came to my mind was surgery, open heart surgery,
Yes.
and how my brother recently went through it, and he was telling me that they had to, open his arm and then
Mhm.
open his chest and
Mhm.
then bring together different arteries
Yeah.
in order to make things possible so that his new heart can
Mhm.
function the way that it needs to function.
Wow.
To me, that's what came to mind.
Yes.
All of these things inside of us
Yes.
are actually needing us to work together to bring something together. I understand how the rivers and streams work and how the plants may need to work together, but
Mm.
just thinking about for one to live
Yes.
and to be here present with us today. That's what came to mind when you said that.
That's beautiful and so very insightful, and this is again, like the part one of insights to Orisha, how we perceive things, how we look at things. And people can't say it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter because how you look at something is a result of how you've been taught to look at it, how you've
Yeah.
been told to look at it.
Mhm.
Once you change your perspective, you can even change the paradigm because now when you go into the situation, even when you communicate with your brother, it's like it's on a different level now because
Yes.
I saw something happen.
Mhm. Mhm. you know?
Yes, I do.
And my brother's a dancer. I know years ago when he was first hearing me talk about the Orishas and stuff like that, when I
Hmm.
started playing the any Ogun music, I started playing any Eshu music or
Yes.
Oshu music. It's like I'm taking him out of what he's used to, his element, his music that he's been using,
Mhm.
listening to let him listen to this sound from the Africans tones on healing modalities, and he had instantly just started getting up and doing all of his dances, same dances that he learned from Memphis, from East St. Louis, from St. Louis. It's like it just started flowing. This that rhythm just
Yeah.
starts to flow, and that's where I am with the Orishas. I want to see it in the state of plants in nature. I want to hear it in sound in the
Yes.
way that we attune with that all together, living, not just playground with crayon. and colors. Like that's beautiful. It's a good starting point,
Right.
but I need it to apply to my daily life. So when I have to speak to my people
Hmm.
to resonate with them,
Yes.
that they know where I'm coming from when they need to hear a message. So yeah.
Because those sounds, as you so beautifully stated, it's also the sound of our voice. You
Hmm.
know, it's also the sound of our voices.
Even when we don't have the words for it,
Yep.
even if we don't have the right words.
Right. And it's also the sound of our silence. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because there's space between the words, and there's the spirit, upon which those words ride. But even without speaking,
Mm-hmm.
spirit is still there, and then we call that me. You understand? So this is what the Creator gives us. This is, Emina. You know what I mean? This
Oh
this
yeah.
is, again, me.
Mm-hmm.
The the life force is not just, you know the air. The life force is the essence of our existence. And as you so wisely stated, you don't even have to speak it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at a certain point with certain people, you can
Mm-hmm.
just feel it. You can feel it coming from them.
Like a baby, like my nephew. And me, like if he used to say "and me," I would be like "and me."
Uh,
Naija says so insightful, Baba and E. I'm so glad Ifa allows for learning without limitations. Whatever and however spirit speaks to me now, mostly through music and arts, is how I received
uh,
it.
mhm.
Exactly.
How ocean is that? Ocean. All right. So, uh, part two next week. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna get into the Orisha as heroes and sheroes, and how they set a way for us to not just admire and cosplay, but to examine their attributes. It's just like, for example, my percussion, right?
Hmm.
I can watch noted percussionists, Mongo Santamaria, and you know, did all these type of individuals, and I can, to my limited ability, you know, take in their technique.
Hmm.
But I want to do more than that. I want to know what they're thinking. I want to know how they're training. I even want to know what they're eating. You understand? Because they didn't get to where they are just because they're playing around.
Mm-mm.
It's disciplines, there's training, you know? And anybody who follows anyone in terms of sports or entertainment, I'll just keep it light. Or even people who are into like the sciences. Well, who's the great mathematician around here? Not just because they know math, but because they live math.
Hmm.
They best do that.
Mm.
So when we look at Orisha, yeah, we can look, oh, Ogun got palm fronds on and he always comes out with a machete. It's like, oh, really? You know, are we forgetting technology? Are we forgetting craftsmanship? So how
Mm.
come we don't see Ogun, you know, in other places? Now I'll take, being at the forge, as a blacksmith, but how come I can't take being a computer technician?
Yeah, true.
You understand what I'm saying? Because see, we're still stuck on that. Oh, they just the primitiveness of it all,
Hmm.
not the high-minded, intellectual, technologically advanced.
Hmm.
See, we got to break out of that. We have got to break out of that. You know. So that's going to be the lead in on next week. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of stuff gonna coming in next week.
Hmm?
Yeah, I said we're going to be having a lot of things coming in next week. A lot of
Oh
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Good.
Yeah, because even we have the Ifa Isheshe classes coming up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pat,
Talk
Pat.
to the people. Tell them what that is. Tell them what's going on.
Loye is going to be extending his wisdom, his knowledge, and all that you receive, like just like here, but in a lecture series, a 4-part lecture series for individuals and groups, elays as well. So if you have your own elay and you've been wondering where is Baba Ifa Karade and how can I get Baba Ifa Karade to come and join and speak to the elay, we have a lecture series that we are presenting.
You have your flyer?
Let's see if I can
All right.
get it. I have a website, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. So while we're pulling that up, good people, just please keep in mind that the Orisha are about, bringing about the Orisha, the enlightenment, the combustion of our internal flame, so that we are moving towards being enlightened. And today we talked about a shoe. All right. We hit on um, Obatala, being of clarity.
Mhm.
We had slides showing Oshun and the importance of Oshun and the humanities. Okay. Uh, we had a picture of Shango. We'll make sure to pick up on that next week as well. So again, what are the qualities of the Orisha? And when we start talking about the heroes and sheroes, and how we study their attributes and not just their external selves, then we're more apt to gain from
Mhm.
Ifa Isheshe. All right, what do you have here, Apedebe?
Yeah, so this right here is where you can find our Ifa Sheshe 4-part lecture series, which is you, which I can attach it to this live stream so that you know where to find it. But the live stream consists of 4 series weekly or monthly, depending on your Elay, and what timing that you have. Where you can expect the history and the evolution of Ifa, where it comes from. If you're familiar with the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, then you pretty much know like the whole way that Aloye is coming, pretty much. How he starts off with the history, how he leads into different concepts, prayers, odus, the comparison, um, the definition, the terms, just like he's been breaking down in many of the different Awake Ifa and also on our Sundays that we have. So he's pretty much breaking everything down in a pragmatic way so that you realize that you're living all of this and you resonate with it. And also my favorite part is the responsibilities that come with being a part of and living the Ifa Isheshe way. So, yeah, this all is within the 4-part lecture series, and you're welcome to even continue the study with us afterwards if you so desire to do so. But it is a $45 per session class, or you can buy it out 180, pay for it out. But the calendars have been booked since we launched this thing, and so if you want to get in on the class that we already have, the 27th is a day that we'll be starting, and then from there, let us know what works best from you. If there's any other date time that you, as an individual and or a group or elay, want to join and participate with that. But yeah, we have a lot going this week. Also, as stated in the introduction, um, I have the WhatsApp group full of a lot of different resources, a lot of different things that You can also explore there too from studying Odus. We are in Tawede. Tawede is our fasting period, which consists of 48 days. That's what we're doing right now. We're just observing the Odus. So if you want to be a part of that, it's available too. There's so much that everybody can dive into and explore to be a part of Sacred Waters Healing Temple, the KARADE Nation, Tawo,
Later, well, nah.
Tawo. Yes, exactly. So we're here. We're here whenever you're ready, whenever you're seeking, whenever you're ready to find what it is that you want with the Ipai Sheshe. We have it.
Beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful. You know, and I want to I want to close out with this. Because we're on such a good vibe. We're on such a good vibe. You know, that the fasting part, as
Mhm.
we kind of started off with people who may have came in, a little bit later. That's not a hunger strike. You know what I mean? I think people get confused. There's a difference between fasting and hunger strikes and downright starvation. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
fasting can take on a form of, again, intermittent fasting, which is what I enjoy. I liquids throughout the day, and at a certain point, sometime between 4 and 8,
Mhm.
I try to have my one meal,
Mhm.
and then later on, because I'm usually up late working on everything, uh,
Mhm.
I may get a bowl of something, because it is late. I don't want a plate, I just get a bowl.
Yeah.
So it's not being so, rigid and regimented that you give yourself an ulcer. You know what I mean? Or now you're temperamental because you need something sweet. You know what I mean? Because your sugar down or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's so much to take into consideration. But what we're saying is, though we use the term fasting, how you interpret that, it's just in need of us making sure that you understand how we look at it. Caribbean Nation, Sacred Waters Healing Temple, pragmatic approach, and that is, you can do intermittent. You can just say, I'm going to abstain from alcohol, red meat.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You determine what is best for you. You're grown. You know what to do.
Yeah. You know what your doctor told you to do too.
Well, and you know what the doctor told you to do. You can, because you know what got you there.
Yeah. Be for real.
Yeah, be for real. Be for real. And you might say, well, I'm going to take these until April 5th. Am I all right?
Yes.
April
Yep.
5th. And
Mhm.
I'm going to work out more. I haven't been working out lately. I'm going to work out more. I'm going to fast from not taking care of my physical self. You see, but
Mhm.
you have to determine that.
Yeah.
Sitting around and waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. I mean, that's a childlike state of mind.
Yes. I know a long time ago I had refrained from joining the online YouTube people that's always like, collectively, we are da 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 da. Collectively, collectively. No, collectively, we're not doing anything. Collectively, y'all might be doing something.
Mhm.
I am focusing on something else here. I have my own lunar cycle. So I'm not following your lunar cycle. I'm not following your collective movement because I
Right,
don't know what it all entails. S It's about me making that decision for myself.
right. Now, isn't that something? You making the decision for yourself. Oh my God. Oh, poor child, you're gonna burn in hell. You know what I mean? So, nah, we're done with all of that, people. We're done with all that, and we're done with the syncretisms, polluting our African-centered psyche. you know? And that doesn't make us bad people. It just makes us determined people. So I can say to Ifa well, it's Tawe Day. You want to share what you gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna do this, that, and that, and that, but anything else
Mm,
between me and Yemoja or whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. And she's like, well, what you gonna do? I said, well, I'm on a pilgrimage. I'm on a pilgrimage for a whole year. doing everything that you set in front of me to do.
Yeah, and he been every day back to back awake with 5. We had like 75 videos of awake with 5. He's a machine, guys. So whatever gets you where you need to go or where you're trying to go,
Exactly. That's
that's what Tawe is about. Somebody had said something on TikTok to me like, "Well, oh, why did you have to make this video about like as if I'm making fun of other religions?" No, if you stick around a little longer, you'll realize this is not a space where I make fun of others or create separation in any way. In fact, I'm getting others to understand, do what is best for them.
yeah,
Because you can sit up and say, "Oh, we're not drinking no water for today," but now you're delirious. And now you're finna spaz on people that don't got nothing to do with you in
right.
your Ramadan fasting. So it's like, you sure you need something to eat, or you don't need something to drink? So no, like I,
Yeah.
I might I may show you how to divine or cast OB to see if you need
Uh,
water.
right. Yeah. While you laying on the ground like a fish out of water.
You want me to let me wait?
Yes,
Wait,
if you
I
need that.
don't have any gin on me right now, so I don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah. You might want to get up and go get some more. You understand? But that's
Yeah,
what we say, if a lion is chasing you through the grassland, as our elders would say, you don't need to stop for divination. You need to get up off your bony, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And find some safety. Because see the whole thing, this over dependence that's very Catholic. You understand? And yes, we have the Odu, and yes, we have Orisha, but we also have, a semblance of life and our responsibility, to kind of take care of this spaceship that we're in called
hmm,
life, you know, to the best of our ability. Things gonna happen, but we keep going, we keep going, and that's what makes us heroic, and that's what makes us heroic.
yeah. And whenever, like I said earlier, whenever those who are seeking true, grounded, authentic framework within this culture and this practice, they'll find us. Just like somebody just said, I need to connect with you soon. I've removed myself from the house, whatever.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
they see that there is truth here.
Yeah.
It don't take much.
Yeah. Don't take much. All right.
Well,
It's
thank you all for joining, and those who caught on. We are here. Thank you so much. The links are in the description if you want to connect further, if you're interested in the classes. And tomorrow there'll be another Awake with E5. We'll be moving forward. But until then, thank you for tuning in, and Odabo.
Odapo.